Hello, all my brothers and sisters, fellow veterans, and your families out there. How y'all doing today? I hope you all survived the 4th of July. It it was like a fucking war zone here in Twinsburg, Ohio. It was pretty rough, but my dog saved me, so it was all right. And hey, speaking of 4th of July, if you're a veteran, and are there times where you don't feel like you fit in? Hard to make friends. People just don't understand you. Well, today's episode's for you. So stay tuned and let's go ahead and get this show on the road, shall we? All right, everyone. Like I said, if you're having a hard time making friends, just don't feel like you fit in, today's for you. I want you all to meet Robert. Robert, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I don't want to mess it up.
Schwenk.
Schwenk. All right, Robert Schwenk. And he is, what's your title?
I am the Cleveland local coordinator for Irreverent Warriors.
All right, Irreverent Warriors. Remember that, folks. This is one awesome organization. So like I said, if you don't feel like you fit in, this just might be for you. So Robert, what exactly is Irreverent Warriors?
Well, our mission statement is we bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. So we do that through, well, of course, where everything else is nowadays. We have a lot of social media. Each city has pretty much their own Facebook page, along with our main public. But our main draw is our Silkies hikes, or Ranger panties, as some people like to call them. We put on our little short shorts. We have fun with it nowadays. I have a pair of Donkey Kong short shorts. There's people with rubber duck silkies, so on and so forth. We throw those on. Rucksacks, plate carriers, basically some motivational gear. Throw a little weight on for the 22, and we hike around various cities throughout the country. Um, Last year there were over 70 hikes across the states, and some international ones as well. Um, the hike elements themselves are for veterans only. So within the hike element, it is veterans active guard only, so that the hike element provides that safe space for us to open up about the unspeakables that we normally don't talk to or talk about with our family and friends, uh, that are civilian in nature, the things that scare the civilians, that
Right.
are things that we live with every day of our lives because those images are still stuck up there. Um, but the hikes allow us to just to let it out and discuss, and there's some dark humor aspects to it because that's how we cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we get looked a little sideways by a civilian when we make a dark humor joke about some of the things we've seen or dealt with.
Right.
But our veteran friends understand, and they understand that that's how we let that out, and that's what this is about. It's letting those things out, letting those unspeakables out, and sharing it with our buddies so that we're not carrying it alone, and it's not continuing to keep us in that dark headspace that we have all been in at one time or another.
Now, me with my lung diseases, I don't know if I'd be able to handle the hikes, but I know I definitely want to get involved with this organization. But just to backtrack a little bit, if you don't mind, if you're okay with it, can you explain a little bit about your military career?
So I joined the Marine Corps in 2002, December. I wasn't a jump on because of September 11th. I enlisted because I was going nowhere in life, and
Yeah.
my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and I needed to do something to get my life together. So I enlisted, and uh, sorry, did I say December 2000? December of 2001. Um, I went in February of 2002. Um, I was a legal service specialist. Um, I dealt with a lot of different things: investigations, admin separations, court martial reviews, things like that. While I was stateside, I had a pretty cushy job. You know, I was down the hall from a Second Marine Division general who would come in my office regularly just to have conversations. Um, I was supposed to go deploy to Djibouti, Africa. I don't remember what happened with that deployment, why I ended up not going. The following year, I was set to go to Afghanistan, trained, prepped, field ops, what have you, but had a junior enlisted Marine who couldn't get his stuff together. So leadership felt he needed the deployment more than me.
Mm.
And then finally, I was coming up on my last year of enlistment. And as an enlisted Marine, you have to have some kind of overseas, you know, service during your first year. So I was asked, because I had two small children at that time, I was asked if they wanted to try and keep me at Lejeune for the last year, send me to Okinawa for the last year, or I could get on the next deployment to Iraq. And I immediately said, "Look, I've already prepared for two deployments. Send me over there." Um, I was actually asked if are you going to go ask your
Mm.
wife or your family about that? No, I'm ready to go. I've done. It's my turn.
Hmm.
So I got attached with RCT 8, 8th Marines. Um, the only interaction with the unit I had prior to the day we left Lejeune was just checking in. I mean, just that was it. I didn't
Hmm.
know anybody I deployed with. I didn't start meeting any junior Marines until we were checking out our rifles from the armory the day we were getting on, the buses to head out to fly over. Um, so hitting the ground in Iraq, um, as a pogue who had no experience in a grunt unit was a culture shock to me.
Yeah.
I got my first day there, getting parade rest and screamed at by a corporal was nothing I'd experienced in my first 3 years in the Corps. Um,
Mm.
so I had a little rough go over there to begin with, but we went to Fallujah. Um, as I was trying to adjust, I ended up going to Ramadi for a couple weeks to familiar faces. Um, and as I started to settle in, then uh, but Fallujah was pretty. It was interesting.
Mm.
I wasn't the pogue that just sat behind the wire the whole time. I was out on town in Fallujah, out on convoys. As a working closely with the XO. I ended up being in his convoy security quite a bit, going between Fallujah and Ramadi. Out in Fallujah, we were doing what we called toy ops. We would get
Mm.
donations for the kids in town, and we would create care packages. I would actually spend several hours creating these like gallon bags full of school supplies, stuffed animals, candy, things like that. We would go out in the town in Fallujah and hand out these care packages to the kids while the XO or the CO was talking to the tribal leaders in the area.
Wow, that's cool.
It
Yeah.
was. So that was a great part of the experience there in a positive manner compared to the negatives. Uh,
Hmm.
I would help go to the RDF, the regional detention facility, and would help process the detainees' legal paperwork. So me and my major would review the evidence from the units, and we would have to decide who was going to go up to Abu Ghraib and who we were letting go. So that was, it was kind of interesting understanding the rules because Iraqis were allowed to have rifles. They were allowed to have
Hmm.
per household, but units would still wrap them up because sometimes they didn't quite know,
Right.
which but there was I think my favorite and most interesting case in that was a gentleman who had 400 bars of soap in his house.
Oh man.
Right. And anybody else, so Iraqi people, they were very, like, I don't want to say this crudely or disrespectfully, but they were dirty people. They didn't have clean water.
Hmm.
Smelled because they didn't have, like we had, the ability to shower, every day. So they stunk. So having 400 bars of soap was highly suspect. And
Right.
it was explained to me, like, that could be melted down for the glycerin and used for explosives.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting case that had always stuck with me as to why we decided to send somebody with 400 bars of soap up to Abu Ghraib prison.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Now, one thing that you had mentioned a minute ago was that the hikes are for veterans only. Now, do you also have events that include family members as well?
We're slowly building our um, base in Cleveland. This is only our second year doing it in Cleveland. The
Hmm.
other cities, they do have more family friendly events. Our meet and greet the night before the hike we is family friendly.
Oh, okay.
But it's an evening event. Uh, it's not directed towards younger children, but it's not, those
Hmm.
spouses and what have you can attend as well. Um, Anyone over 18, a spouse, child of a service member, or just anyone at all that wants to volunteer can volunteer on our team and help with, snacks, water at the various stops throughout the hike to help keep us hydrated,
Now,
things.
now, when you do these hikes, are they downtown or do you go to a park or?
It depends on the hike. Our Cleveland hike, yeah, it starts downtown. We don't map out the whole route for OPSEC because there have been times where people felt we were politically engaged, but we are
Hmm.
not a political organization. So we keep the route secure, so we don't have protesters protesting, suicide prevention, because
Right.
that's what we're about. Um, but Cleveland, we have a little bit of a mixture of park and the downtown, but it's mostly downtown. But I have been to, my first hike was Gettysburg in 2021, and that was all battlefield.
Mm.
And we did a hike in New Jersey last year that was all battlefield park as well.
Ah, oh yeah, my old stomping grounds. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey, so I'm a transplant, I guess. Um, Now, you also mentioned something that I've never heard before. What the hell is a silky?
So Ranger panties, the short shorts. They're the old. They don't really use them as much anymore, from what I understand. But they're the really short training shorts that we used to, get. We
Oh, okay.
each other for wearing them or make fun of ourselves or feel uncomfortable because they were really short shorts that we had to go train in.
Like what they wore in oh god, what's that movie with Clint Eastwood? Heartbreak Ridge.
Yeah.
When he's first starting to train his troops. Those type of shorts.
Yes.
Okay. See, Air Force, we didn't have short shorts. So, matter of fact, we didn't have shorts, period. Whenever we did our PT, we had to bring our own shorts. So,
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the Marines, yeah, they're real uncomfortable, like feeling, if you were uncomfortable, self-conscious, it was real uncomfortable to wear them. But now we just, I throw them on. It's helped me, with my own self-image and my own self-confidence, just, throwing them on and having a good time. I'd show you a pair normally. I have them on and ready to go, but I've been pretty busy.
I'm trying to find a picture so we can bring them up.
Thigh Huggers makes a lot of them. They make a lot of the fun ones. Sophie makes them.
You know what? I think what I can do is just sure there's pictures on your website that has people wearing those type of shorts.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So let me In fact, I think I got one right. Let's see. Nope, that one don't. Yeah, like this guy right over here on the right-hand side with the beer can.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I never heard of Silkies before, so I definitely had to ask what that was.
They are the uniform of the hike, but they are not required. I mean, we want people comfortable in whatever they are, comfortable in. Our only restrictions are is body parts have to be, covered up.
Mm-hmm.
And no political messages, no political and same thing with religious, because we're not a religious organization either. Politics and religion are two things that truly divide people, and our goal is to bring veterans together, not
there you go. Yes, I agree. Now, I'm going to bring this one sign up here. All right. Now, the next hike in Cleveland is August 19th.
Correct.
All right. Now, I don't know if this, let me see if I can, it's not going to get too much bigger, but there's a QR code where people can scan. Is that QR code where they be able to register?
Yes, or you can go to irreverentwarriors.com and click on the events link, and it'll pop up a map of the whole country with little pin drops of all the locations of the various hikes.
And I see your registration is to check in is from 8 to 9 a.m. And I'm sure the hike starts pretty shortly after 9.
Yeah, we will be stepping off around 9:15, 9:20.
And about how long are the hikes?
So the average hike I want to say is around 9 miles. But I want people to understand that we're not out there going gung ho 9 miles, let's go. No, we are stopping at various points throughout the day. I think we have 5 or 6 big stops for the Cleveland hike. And when I say big stops, we're talking a half hour, 45-minute,
Mhm.
hydrate. And that's where you really start to have those conversations with other people and start to build on the relationships and the conversations that will continue throughout the hike. We also stop for about an hour for lunch as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's an all day event. It's not a, go out, let's see how fast we can get 9 miles done. No, we're talking a max of, I think our max is about 2.9 miles in an hour, but I don't even think we're gonna hit that.
Yeah.
So
Especially if there's a ball game or something getting ready to happen that afternoon. So,
I believe there is a doubleheader Indians game that day, but the Browns are out of town that weekend this year. Um,
that's cool.
I don't know about any other events. I know it was massively busy the weekend we had it last year. We had a Browns home game, preseason home game,
Mhm.
had Indians game. There was a concert in down in the west side of the flats, Kid Cudi concert with 15,000 people there. There was another concert on the east side, and it was pretty wild, busy last year. But I don't think it's not going to be quite as packed downtown this year.
Yeah, that's good. Now, is there a fee involved with the registration?
So there is we'd like to consider it more of a donation, $5 registration fee, but you can also opt to just register without paying the fee. Um,
Right.
we want participation more than we want funds, but the funds do all go back into the hike. Uh, our I all of it, everything that is donated to Irreverent Warriors Cleveland goes back into Irreverent Warriors Cleveland.
Ah, there you go. All right. That you just took my next question right away from me, which is real cool. Um,
Yeah, yeah. My whole team, everything is all volunteer. The organization itself, if you go look at the books, I want to say 90% of all funds donated to all of Irreverent Warriors goes back into the mission.
and this is you also hold these throughout the country as well, correct?
Yes, there's also, I want to say, six international ones as well now. Uh,
Oh
there's
wow.
there's Normandy, Frankfurt, Germany, um, Puerto Rico, Guam. The
All
last
right.
this year is going to be in St. Thomas. So
Oh,
we're
St. Thomas. I hear that's a really nice area.
yeah.
Let's see. And if somebody wants to not necessarily participate in hikes, but become more involved with Irreverent Warriors, how would they go about doing that?
What do you? I mean, are you? I mean, they can email me, Cleveland at irreverentwarriors.com. Um, there's also on irreverentwarriors.com, the main page. There is a a, co- uh, contact email as well, where you just go on the page and type in what your questions are, and you'll get a response. If it's to the Cleveland hike or any other hike directly, they will be forwarded along to that local coordinator.
All right. And do you coordinate with other or nonprofits and other organizations in the area to help promote your hikes?
I try to. Like I said, we're on just our second year. Last year was Cleveland's first hike. Irreverent Warriors has been around since 2015. Um, but it's all about building. You got to build your brand in your neighborhood. Uh,
Yes.
so right now, our biggest supporter is the Chardon VFW and Chardon Legion. Um, their second year in a row that they have that the VFW has committed to sponsoring the hike. Um, so that's that's like I said, we're still just trying to build our brand,
Hmm.
and it's you get just as many no's as you do yeses. We have the IBW Local 673 out of Menor as a sponsor this year as well.
Oh, that's cool. All right. But yeah, props sent out to Chardon and to the organization that you just mentioned. Um, Now, as you move forward with this organization, do you see doing more hikes per year, or kind of keeping it at about the same amount as you do now
For myself or for the organization,
for the organization?
I think we're kind of we're going to have more, but at some point we're going to max out. One of my team members is currently working to build the community in Columbus, and we should have a Columbus hike online next year as well. Cincinnati's already been around for several years. There's another hike in Detroit. Pittsburgh's been around. I think Pittsburgh was this was just their third year. Um, so it's and it all depends on how things go. If
Right.
there's massive issues, then a hike will get checked out. I mean,
Hmm.
you have to worry about the safety and the organization as a whole. If we're not moving forward in the mission, or if something happens that negatively impacts the mission, then then it's going to go away.
Right.
You know, it it's it's a process. I mean, for
Hmm.
me, this year has been a lot smoother than last year. But the way I put it out is I will carry this stress. I go to various other hikes. I travel around to other hikes because Cleveland is not I don't get mine in Cleveland. I carry the stress. I carry the weight for everyone else to try and make sure that they are having a good hike, that they are having a good day, that
Hmm.
goes for them. So it's a highly stressful thing for me. But if I can save just one, that's
Then
enough.
you, yeah,
That,
yes.
and I go, like I said, I go to other hikes to get mine where I need my healing at.
And I like how you just said that too. If you can save just one, then you know you did your job. And
Right.
that's one of the things that Rosie Torres, when she pulled me off to the side when we first met in Washington D.C., when I started advocating with her for the PACT Act, she pulled me off to the side and she says, "Look, you're not going to save everybody, but if you can save one, just one, and if everybody can save just one, look at the amount that you're saving."
Right.
So yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. And now, how did you find out about Irreverent Warriors?
I don't remember how exactly I got onto it initially, but I was following them on Facebook for a couple years before things finally clicked to where I could make it to my first hike. And something just kept telling me that I had to be there. I had to be in Gettysburg for the 20th anniversary of September 11th and be on
Mm,
this hike. Um, and I drove by myself to a campsite where I knew no one, fighting my anxiety, fighting tears the whole way going there because I was so anxious and so nervous to put myself out there. And I was still at the beginning phases of coming out of the darkest time of my life. A few months before that, I was just living in suicidal thoughts. Had
yeah.
one after another, no support base whatsoever. And I came and instantly got to this campsite in Gettysburg, and there are people there that they're my family now because they were instant. Like it was just instant. Like everything clicked. It was the place I needed to be. Um, And instantly after that first hike in Gettysburg, I'm like, how do I bring this to Cleveland? How?
Hmm.
How do I bring this home? And they're like, you need to get a few, get a few more hikes under your belt, and figure, start to understand everything, and take care of yourself first. And
Yes.
and then that's what I did. And then May of last year, I was asked to take the reins for Cleveland and put on Cleveland's hike last year. And it's amazing. We're coming up on 2 years since my first hike, and my the first hike I put on in Cleveland was almost exactly a year and 1 week after my first hike. Um,
Mm.
but anybody who knew me that first day in Gettysburg has seen a complete transformation of the person I was. This completely inside person who just sat back and observed and didn't talk much, and to now I will throw myself out there to anybody just to spread the word, and continue to just try to save one, and then if I save,
Yes.
move on to try to save one more.
Yep.
It's
There you go.
found,
Now,
found a passion and a love.
mhm. Now, I think we need to tell the audience here that you and I actually met back in December,
Correct.
and I've seen a change in you since then myself, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a change with me as well. I probably lost a lot of, a few tons here, but let everybody know. You and I met at the salute to service that the Cleveland Cavaliers had
Right.
back in December, and they threw a really nice get together before the game, and that's where you and I met. And w- the reason I'm bringing that up too is because there were other organizations that were represented there, such as TAPS. Do, are you familiar with TAPS at all?
To a degree, not.
Because the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think veterans, you know, are getting help through you. Widows are getting help through TAPS. Maybe, maybe a joint hike one day. I know that, but in past experience, seeing um, veterans interact with widows seems to be a very calming and, well, moving at first, but then calming and eye-opening experience for the veterans. To hear the stories of the widows on what they go through. So I was wondering, maybe that might be a possibility later on down the road that you might be able to do an event with them at one point or another.
It would definitely be a possibility. There is someone within our organization uh, who's went through a similar situation. They're not a veteran themselves, but they dealt with some things that brought them to this organization, and they have been a monumental part of one of the hikes that I don't want to trying to say this without
Hmm.
but there is there's definitely potential there, because
Good,
it
good.
seen the healing through somebody else who has dealt with some of these things that has become a great part of this organization.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Thank You for Your Service. I just watched it last week on Netflix. Um, it's about how a group of army guys came back from Iraq, and they separated from the service, and the struggles that they go through when they came home. And one of them actually found an organization such as yours in the movie that helped them. But it went through with the bouts of suicide, the drug and the alcohol addiction, the domestic violence, and what saved the one guy was the widow from one of his friends that was killed in Iraq. He he all of a sudden realized that he needed help, but he didn't know what to do to get that help. So he camped out in her front yard, and she came out, noticed him that he was camped out in front of her front yard, and she goes out there and she's talking to him, and all of a sudden she gives him a business card and walks away. Then, and this is pretty much towards the end of the movie where the business card, I guess, was an organization such as yours. It wasn't called Irreverent Warriors in the movie; it was called something else. But that's the reason why I brought up maybe possibly working with Taps later on down the road, because it was the widow that actually saved his life. Because his friend, his best buddy, ended up committing suicide like 2 weeks after they came back because his girlfriend left and everything. And then another guy, he had done 6 tours in Iraq, and he had retired, so he was retiring, and he just didn't know what to do anymore because his whole military career was going to Iraq or Afghanistan. And so when he came home, he didn't know what to do, and there was nobody there to help them transition. So that is why I'm so glad your organization is around, because I think just one veteran that's possibly viewing this or be viewing this later on in the next couple of days, who just got out and is confused and don't know what to do. I think they might be able to get some answers if they hook up with your organization.
Oh yeah, and they don't even have to be out yet. We have a lot of active as well. I've been trying to work it out so I can get to a hike with my son, who's an active currently
Mm.
himself. But yeah, we have a lot of active that get involved. And it's a beautiful thing too, because they respect the organization in that we're all there for healing. So once they're there, even if they are active, a lot of them won't even, unless you bring it up, they won't mention it. rank,
Hmm.
rank goes out the window, because that's not what it's about. It's about bringing everyone together. It's about that camaraderie. It's about that love and brotherhood and sisterhood that we found without all that, the bullshit that we had to deal with. And
Right. Oh yeah. Now I was in a different war, but so bullshit was a little bit different, but the anxiety and everything when you get out, it's I think it's the same. So, um, now that you're based in Cleveland, has the city responded to your organization? Have they given you any flack about permits or anything like that when you're setting up your hikes, or are they very receptive?
the last year, the permit was a little bit of a problem, but from what I understand, that wasn't necessarily, like, there was internal issues going on why it took us a while to get the permit. Uh,
Mm,
it wasn't because of our organization. This year, it was smooth. I reached out, I spoke to somebody in the permit office. Her son is a veteran, and she was right on top of it, got our permit approved right away. Um, I am in contact with the captain of the police department who coordinates for events and stuff. I
mhm.
email back and forth, let him know what's going on, all of our information. He's, receptive, fine, good with everything. And pretty much all of the places we are stopping at, besides one new one this year, were all places we stopped at last year. All of them happy to receive us again. All of them happy with how we handled ourselves while we were in their establishment. Everybody was very respectful, responsible, cleaned up after themselves. The way veterans do when we're, in the right place with the right people. Because
Yes.
sometimes, if we're out with the wrong people, we can act out and get ourselves in trouble. The right pace with the right people, it's all full of respect and love. You know, we sung, that we'll sing our fight songs, the Marine Corps hymn, the Army. I don't know what it's called,
Yeah.
Army song, things like that in the restaurants, and everybody, they love it.
Good, good.
The reception has been really really good.
Ah, that's good to hear. And and I know the city is working on trying to improve relations with veterans as we speak. And our good friend Matt Eck is helping lead the way with that.
Yes.
So props out to Matt there. And it, for some of you here in Northeast Ohio, Matt works for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's one of the reasons. That's how Robert and I were able to meet each other. Is actually through Matt. He's the one who coordinated all that. So thanks, Matt. And matter of fact, wish you were able to go to his barbecue on the 4th, man. 30-hour cooked brisket. They
Well,
slow cooked it for 30 hours. That was unbelievable. Now the design of your logo. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here because I really like this one. Has anybody given you any flack or given the organization any flack because of the logo, or because I think it's actually cool as hell myself.
I haven't heard anything about the logo. I've heard people talk about, the use of the word irreverent. They don't like,
Mm-hmm.
because if you look up the definition, it's making light of a serious situation.
Right.
Um, but that's what we do as veterans. That's what we have always done. That's
Yes.
what's drilled into our brain, our minds, and if you're getting shot at, you should be laughing about it, because if you're fearful, you're not going to be able to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we lived life, was to make light of serious situations. That's how we got through.
Yes.
That's what the name is for. um the creator of Irreverent Warriors is Donnie O'Malley. Vet TV. He I don't know if you know what Vet TV is. It
Mm.
doesn't seem to have gotten around quite a bit, as much as you think it would in the veterans organization. But it is a streaming service that is all, veteran military based. It is all, you know, TV shows of dark humor and military jokes and things like that. Um, but he created both of these organizations and has been, I thank him all the time for giving me this. He's a great guy. I've met him a few different times in person. He will, come to various hikes and make himself presence and known. And he's a celebrity amongst Marines. They get him to sign their silkies and stuff. It's pretty funny.
I'm gonna have to try to get a hold of him, see if I can get him on this show here, because Vet TV sounds very interesting. Never heard of it until just now, so I'm gonna have to look into that. So thank you for that. Um, Now, before we start wrapping up here, is there anything else about the organization that we have not discussed that you'd like people to know about?
It's a family. It's all about love. And it's okay to be vulnerable. I mean, that's what we do. It's don't be scared of it, because that's how we heal, is learning to be able to become vulnerable around safe people and let
Mm-hmm.
those things out. We may not have the gone through the same experiences or the exact same traumas, but we share in experiences. We share in those traumas. There's a lot of people in this organization who have dealt with a lot of different things, and
Yep.
we listen. That I will sit there and listen to your story, and you know variously, I still have to catch myself sometimes, but most of the time I will just listen without trying to compare my life to it, because
Right.
and I can do that, but I just try to hold space instead and let people get it out, because as soon as you start comparing stories, things get lost, and people can start feeling a certain kind of way. So a lot of us just listen, and the hugs, like, you go to a hike and you get 200 hugs from other veterans. It's
Mhm.
very powerful. Uh,
Yes.
these things can be
Mhm.
very emotional. You can start the day with dancing, you know, uh, start crying in the middle of it somewhere, laughing, dancing again. But by the end of the day, you are mentally, physically, and emotionally just exhausted, but in a positive
Mm.
way. You have let
Yes.
all of that, negative
Mhm.
energy out.
Now you brought up a good point that I'm going to add on to is you know listening to someone else tell their story, because I've known I've told my story to several people, and one of the things that I hate, especially from a civilian, is hearing, well, you did what you had to do. How do you know that? For you to say that to me, you know what I'm saying? Uh,
Well,
I don't think any veteran has ever said that to me.
I relate to that in another way, as in where, I was a pogue person other than grunt. Um,
Hmm.
I hate I hate being identified, well, because you were a pogue, you didn't do anything.
Right.
Because the VA did that to me for years. I couldn't get the proper help I needed even through the VA, because they kept telling me, because of my MOS, that, oh, you didn't do
Hmm.
nothing, anything. Well, that's not the case. Let's move past that little 4-digit number and actually listen to my story.
Yeah. See that? Yeah, that's one thing that I'm hoping to get changed at the VA, because in the Air Force we have two AFSCs, which is MOS. You have your peacetime job, and then you have your wartime job. Now, I was a supply troop peacetime. Wartime, I was like a load master, loading up cargo planes, making sure that you know everything got shipped. People got onto the right planes. People got to where they needed to go. Equipment got to go with them. So when I go in, when I first started getting into the VA system, they were, but you were a supply troop. You weren't anywhere near. Yeah, I was. I had to travel with these people. I got sent to Dahran. I was like a mile from the Iraqi border. So, and they're like, but no, you're a supply. You're way back. And so you know, they need, for an organization that's designed to help veterans, they sure are way behind the times. So
Oh,
hopefully we can get that changed. Now I know we've never discussed this before, because we're going to kind of start wrapping things up here, but and all my viewers already know this. So, my brother Dennis, who's in the Air Force, he was a Vietnam and Gulf War veteran. He decided to take his own life 22 years ago this past Christmas Eve. Thank God, on my birthday of this year, January 17th, the VA came out with a new program to where a veteran, regardless if they're in the VA system or not, can go to any medical facility. And you tell the facility, say, hey, look, I feel like I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to hurt somebody else. The VA will pay for your treatment. And I always start ending the show with also showing 988 is the new number, no longer the 1-800. They've improved the system a lot. You will get a human being when you call. You will no longer get a machine. You will no longer get autopilot or whatever you want to call it. You will not get a tape message. You will get a human being. So 988. If things are getting bad for you, that's the number to call. You don't need to even be thinking about suicide to call the crisis line. But if your depression is that bad to where you're not functioning very well, give them a call. They can help you out. Also, I'm not sure if you've heard of this, Robert. The VA now has what they call vet centers popping up all over the country. They got one just down the street from my house here in Twinsburg. And any military member, active duty, veteran, can walk in at any time during their hours. And they have long hours too. You don't need an appointment. You can just go in and say, hey, I just need to talk to somebody. And there's going to be a counselor that's going to be able to talk to you right there and then. Family members can go to a vet center too, as long as their initial contact with the vet center is due to a military issue. Like, hey, my spouse's PTSD is getting the best of me. I need to talk to somebody on what to do for them. You can walk in there and they're going to talk to you. All of it's free. You don't need to be in the VA system or not. So their VA's kind of working things to try to improve things. So there's that. And so I mentioned that at the end of every show in memory of my brother. And because my depression got so bad when I first got out that I fought so hard trying to get better, because I didn't think it was right for my parents to have two veterans who took their own lives. It's bad enough that one did. And also, everybody knows me as the Gulf War advocate, but this show is now presented by an organization called Veterans Assurance Network, based here in Twinsburg. They are setting up a network with lesser known nonprofits. So if a veteran comes in and says, hey, I need assistance with this, Veterans Assurance Network, if they can't help you out, they know the people who can. They will not turn you away. They will get in contact with that organization with you, stay with you until you are in that organization's program. Hopefully, Irreverent Warriors will be part of this network. I think it will be. I'm getting good positive feedback from your main office there. So also, one thing that Veterans Assurance Network wants to do too is provide portable oxygen concentrators for veterans who are on home oxygen and only get the tanks through the VA. If you need a portable oxygen concentrator, contact us and we'll help you get one. All right, Robert. It's always a pleasure seeing you, man. It sure is. I get good vibes every time I meet you and talk with you. It's amazing, and you are doing some good work for veterans here in Northeast Ohio, and hopefully, Veterans Assurance Network can help you further that and get more veterans involved. And got any parting shots before we wrap this up?
No. Another report is available that ours is Stop Soldier Suicide. They are another crisis hotline that's available if people, some people have a bad taste of the VA. So there is, other alternatives that we want to see lives saved. It doesn't matter how we get it done. Let's save one more.
All right, you kind of broke up there. So what is that?
Stop Stop soldier suicide.
Okay. Let me see if I can't put that up here in the bottom of the screen here real quick. Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. There you have it. If you're uncomfortable with the VA, and I know a lot of you are, we're trying to make changes to make it better for us. But until that happens, uh, stop soldier suicide. Give them a call. Look them up on the web on Google them. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Google. There we go. If you're definitely don't want nothing to do with the VA, right there you go. Also, like I said, if you just don't feel like you're fitting in, you because you're just not around veterans anymore, get a hold of Irreverent Warriors. These people are amazing folks, and they will definitely hook you up with some good people, some good camaraderie, and help you get feeling better about yourself.
Absolutely.
All right, Robert. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother. Thank
All
you.
right, brother. We'll catch you later.